the Carmen Sense Realty Show.
A common sense approach to real estate.
I'm your host, Boomer, from The Right Creative, and your star
Carmen Lonardo
is right here.
Remax Realty Group.
That's right, the Remax Realty Group. Fire the phone number off real quick. How
Well,
can
the
they reach
cell
you?
phone is 585-233-4119, 233-4119.
Great. Before we get to our guest from Genesee Regional Bank, GRB, let's talk first about what's hot in real estate in the area. What's going on?
Well, the market has been kind of slow of late, but the last couple of weeks it seems to have picked up again. And then it's, I don't know whether it's coincidental or whether it's related to the good weather, but as soon as the weather started to pop, buyers and sellers just started to pop too. So market has been very active the last week or so, week to 10 days, and
Okay.
I think we're finally off. We're finally off to the 2019 market.
Great. Still seller's market, people
Still seller's market,
dropping cash over.
dropping cash and paying cash. A lot of cash deals out there. A lot of deals considerably over asking, and people still doing silly stuff. So.
We were briefly talking before the show that even with this hot market, sometimes the house doesn't always line up with what people want.
Well, yeah, that's true. I've got a listing that I just put up in the town of Perrington. It's interesting. So it's in the town of Perrington.
Right.
It has a Macedon mailing address, and it's serviced by Victor Schools.
Okay.
So
There's an identity crisis right
yeah,
there.
it's like, where do we belong here? But it's out there, and it's a beautiful property if somebody wants it. It's 157 Ryan Road.
Okay.
And 6 acres.
Wow.
Contemporary chalet type home with an in-ground pool. Beautiful 10-course wall garage with its own power, right?
Wow.
It's secluded. Did I mention that? Secluded.
A lot of acreage, too.
A lot of acreage, and it's a fantastic property. But, you just got to have the right buyer for it, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
cookie cutter.
Right.
If you're looking for something in the track, this is not going to be it.
All right. And finally, just homes in that 140 to 250 are still the hottest
they're
right now.
still going hot. Hot bananas. Absolutely.
Well, that's great. Well, we're going to talk about the Homebuyer Dream Program with our guest from GRB. We have Majuwa Kuwai-Bell, who is a mortgage originator, and Ashley DiPaola, who is a mortgage assistant. Majuwa has experience as a credit manager and a branch manager, and Ashley, currently a mortgage assistant, has almost 10 years of experience working and helping people directly to their dream. So welcome, you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I get, before we get started on the Dream Program, I just got to tell you, these guys are great dealing with clients, and once we'll allow them to speak, hopefully they can chime in with phone number and email addresses.
We will get your contacts out there for sure. Yeah,
in the event that somebody wants to get a hold of them and apply for a mortgage or learn more about this program that we're going to be talking about. But before we get there, we also have to introduce our secret weapon today. Secret weapon.
I'm going to move my water bottle.
Secret weapon. Jack Lonardo is here with us today. Jack, can you wave hi? Wave hi. First day of summer vacation, no school, and so hanging out with Dad and learning about the real estate business. Having fun so far? Yeah? Good. You can speak. You don't have to just nod your head. Right?
There he is.
Okay, good.
Okay. He has a voice. Okay.
So I'd be interested in hearing before about the Homebuyer Dream Program, which is a new program. Mm-hmm. How you guys see what the market has been doing lately, because you get to see the business coming in and the referrals and people getting pre-qualified, and then mortgage applications. So from your perspective, what's going on out there?
Sure. So to your point, the market itself is a very tight market, and the buyers that are prevailing right now are the ones that are best prepared. And so what I've focused historically on, and even more so over the last few months, is a mortgage strategy. So what I mean by that is making sure that we have our best foot forward, that it all starts with a face-to-face meeting, and we ensure that we have the best strategy in place for when someone's placing an offer so they have the best chance of getting it. Oftentimes, we have scenarios where people are putting a little bit more down. We have scenarios where we're closing in a very short time frame. We're looking at options for people going cash and doing a mortgage thereafter. And so the mortgage strategy, or the person that has the best mortgage strategy, is going to prevail in this market. We're finding that a lot of our buyers have been looking for a long period of time, and ultimately it might take several offers for them to prevail. But they know the most that they possibly can about their mortgage. They're fully aware of all the mortgage programs that are suitable for them. And it's a great segue into the homebuyer dream, as we now have an option directly from New York State that allows them to get up to $15,000 to buy a house, which, I've been in this business for the last 10 years, and this is the most that the state has ever given in the form of free grant assistance.
That's awesome.
$15,000.
Yeah.
$15,000.
Almost too good to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ashley, what's your role in helping the mortgage process and applicant and so forth? Tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So Majuwa and I will receive leads from our referral partners. So I will kind of reach out to them and schedule appointments so they can come to the office and meet with Majuwa to discuss their mortgage strategy. Thereafter, I kind of keep in contact with the customers, make sure that all their documents are up to date, see if they need any pre-approval letters, and then hopefully the next step is that we'll get an approved contract.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And just to jump in, if you can work off of what Majuwa said earlier, the best prepared buyers. What's the best prepared case scenario for you? What do you need from people?
So I think it's certain situations where customers, they know what they want, they know their kind of max purchase price, what they can afford. Because last thing Majuwa and I want is put people in situations where they're not comfortable with their monthly mortgage payments or even the cash to close. So it's really educating the customer and going back to what I had mentioned, making sure that their documents are all up to date.
Okay.
And so if they do get an accepted offer, they're ready to go. We can start rolling through the process.
Great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm still in disbelief. $15,000.
Yeah.
$15,000. And,
Wow.
Really what they've done is they have rolled out with a program that allows someone to really put a minimal amount down on their purchase. We have some scenarios, Carmen, where people have already gone under contract, and we have less than $1,000 that they're actually bringing to their closing by way of putting down deposits. So they have to put a minimum of $1,000 into the transaction. But when you look at the deposit that you place on the house, once you place a accepted offer, when you look at paying for inspections and things like that, you may have scenarios where people bring less than $1,000. And looking here in Monroe County and surrounding counties, that's significantly less than some people are paying for rent. So it's a great opportunity and makes housing and home ownership extremely affordable.
And let's be clear. This is not something that's added on to the mortgage. It's not something that you're paying back. It's a grant.
It's a grant, and as long as you, there's a 5-year, period where if you do sell the property in less than 5 years, then you'll prorated amount back. But for those buyers that remain in the property for 5 years, it's a non-repayable grant.
Yeah. Wow. Well, even if you have to sell the property, 2, 3, 4 years out and pay a piece back, this really helps a lot of people get into a home and start building some equity and a good credit position. Even if they've got to pay some of it back. Right?
Exactly right.
That otherwise they wouldn't have this opportunity.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Right.
And kind of backing up to the old First Home Club program, so that was a savings program where the customer had to save a set amount for 10 to 18 months. So with the new Homebuyer Dream program, they're completely eliminating that. So you can receive this $15,000 instantly.
Yep.
Who's going to qualify for this?
So what we look at there is we have a minimum credit score at 620. So 620 is the minimum FICO score that we look at.
Okay.
We do have ways where we can coach people up to the 620. So for those people out there that may be, a little shy of that now, we have ways where we can help you get there. And then we look at what's called a debt to income ratio. So if you qualify for a standard mortgage, typically that runs about 36 to 37% for the housing payment of your total income. And then 50% is a maximum for your total monthly minimum debt payments in relation to your income, gross income, that is. So very fair parameters, and the general rule of thumb is that if we can qualify you for a standard FHA or conventional mortgage, we should be able to have no issue qualifying you for this grant program.
Wow. That's awesome.
That does sound too good to be true.
Right.
I mean, it really does. Where was this?
Yeah, I know.
When I was shopping 4 years ago.
I don't know. Right. Well, this is just for first timers, right? I mean,
So, yep,
Correct.
for first-time home buyers,
So-
and if
I wouldn't have qualified.
wouldn't have
then.
qualified. Are there income guidelines?
there are income caps. What they look at is households of 2, where that income cap is 62,240, and a household of 3 or more, which includes a young child, is 71,576.
Okay, so
And
that's
gross
pretty,
annual income.
that's pretty generous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Who are you seeing? Oh, okay. Has this started? Is this officially in play?
We are currently taking contracts for this program. So to answer your question.
Yeah. Okay.
So how does it happen? Do you need to apply for the program and then go out and find a house, or do you go out and find a house first and then come and apply for the program?
So the first step is for either myself or for Ashley to speak with the buyer to collect the applicable documentation to ensure that they qualify for a mortgage. Next, we look at qualification specifically for the Homebuyer Dream program. And one of the things that Genesee Regional Bank is doing is we're actually pre-vetting and pre-approving for this specific program, so that we shouldn't ever be in a scenario where a buyer writes an offer with this program and finds that they do not receive the grant. So their full income package, we're talking your pay stubs and your W-2s and your taxes, the full picture is getting sent to an underwriter ahead of time before the offer is placed, and that's getting pre-vetted to ensure that there are no surprises. Once that's done, they're able to write a purchase offer, and we apply for their reservation for the grant, and they close.
No, we're passing notes here, like
we
in
used
school.
to do this in class.
And
always get
the
caught.
reason why that arrow was pointing towards Majuwa is because I wanted you to give him the note, not read the note.
Well,
You're
I
not
just
supposed to
read the
read
note.
somebody else's mail, Kurt.
It was,
It
open. You're
was
not
open.
supposed to leave it on the desk either.
Well,
I
I
think
know,
there's some
passed.
guidelines by that.
Yeah, so the question that just came across is if there are, is there anything in place for listeners for this podcast? And that's definitely the case. We do have some incentives in place for people that are listening here. And should you reach out to us, we will be offering a reduction of closing costs to you, in conjunction with your Homebuyer Dream Grant.
And how do they get a hold of you or Ashley?
They can contact me. I do have a cell phone that I answer, all the time. Evening and weekends are okay. And that
Sure
is-
you do.
I do.
Yeah.
I
He
do.
does.
I'm known for it.
You must must have me in his contacts.
That's right. I challenge someone to reach out and not get a reply in a timely manner. So my direct cell phone number is 585-472-9345. And again, that's 585-472-9345. For people that might need a little help in remembering it, it's actually GRB 9345. GRB 9345.
Wow, that's clever.
That's catchy.
That's clever.
We need
Yeah.
numbers like that
Exactly.
for the show.
We do.
Like,
It's actually Remax 14442.
we're still working on our jingle, folks.
Definitely doesn't hurt.
Oh, I got the jingle.
I know.
But,
I know. We
yeah,
just got to
can't-
talk to a local HVAC company about how
That's
they
right.
stole it.
How
from
they
us.
stole the jingle.
How long does this? How long does this program last?
So each bank is given a finite amount of money, and so ultimately the best thing that a buyer can do is that if you're interested, we want to get you in as soon as possible. Again, there's no rush. We'll always work on your time schedule, but because this grant is being given by New York State, they're giving each bank a finite amount that we can distribute to various buyers, and so it comes on a first come first served basis. Banks have access to a master format of how much funds are remaining, both for each individual bank as well as for the full state of New York. And so the best thing that a buyer can do that's interested is to reach out to me directly. Again, 585-472-9345. We'll schedule a face-to-face meeting, and we'll get you pre-approved for this grant.
And how long do they have to use it? Does it need to be used by a certain amount of or a certain period of time, or is it theirs indefinitely, or how does that work?
Yep, so they have 2 years to utilize the grant funds.
Wow. 2 years.
2 years.
Wow.
Is this a Cuomo thing?
A who?
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine. But
I
anyway,
don't know.
It's not a political.
That
talk
sounds
show.
like it really does sound too good to be true. Now, let me see if I understood you correctly.
Sure.
You're going to reduce closing costs if somebody calls and mentions this podcast.
Correct.
If they say, "Hey, I heard about you and learned about the program on Carmen Sense, the podcast. You're going to do what? You're going to reduce their closing costs?
Correct.
By
Yes.
by how much?
We're going to give a fee waiver of $500 for every client that calls in that applies for the.
$500.
Correct. We do have to mention this
Throw
podcast.
another
but
$500 in.
Yeah.
For
So-
the home buyer dream program, though.
Correct.
First time buyers, folks.
First time buyers.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
Just to put it out there too, since this is such a hot program, funds are going to go very quickly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Majuwa and I were talking probably 2 months, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How many buyers do you think you can fund? GRB.
Sure. We're anticipating, correct me if I'm wrong, actually about 90 for
Correct.
the bank.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
if people
impressive.
are interested, they really got to get on the horn here.
That's exactly right.
And as soon as the money is depleted, it will be reassessed come January. So
Okay.
then customers will have another opportunity next
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
Now I know we're focused on the home buyer dream program. What about regular buyers? What's
Sure. I can speak to that. In terms of what programs are available for regular buyers or, kind of why Genesee Regional Bank.
Why both?
We're known as a market leader for mortgage financing in the Rochester and also, as well as Monroe County area. And the reason is because, our process is very efficient. Ashley earlier spoke about, a little bit about our process of vetting out a buyer. A buyer that meets with us, with myself or Ashley, will know exactly their maximum they qualify for, as well as what they're comfortable with their monthly payment and cash to close. And that's important. We feel like the buyers that work with us have really a leg up in the marketplace where, obviously with inventory being tight, they're able to place a confident offer in a quick format, get a pre-approval updated evening and weekend, and really put themselves, first and foremost forward. Looking at some benefits of why Genesee Regional Bank, we do enjoy a preferred lending relationship with both the University of Rochester and RIT, and that also extends to Strong. So what that offers is a discount of $550 in the case of U of R, $500 off of closing costs in the case of RIT, and a $9,000 grant for properties purchased in certain areas. In the case of RIT, it's the full city of Rochester, and in U of R, it is pocketed areas. There are about 20 different neighborhoods where a buyer can get a $9,000 grant, and we'd be happy to walk you through that.
Wow. Is there a website where someone can go and get the detail on this stuff?
Absolutely. It is available right at our website. We'll make sure that we get that information so people can...
What is the website?
So ultimately, it is at the bottom here. If they just go to grbbank.com/mortgage, they can then locate me as a mortgage originator. Again, I'm Majuwa Kuwai-Bell. And then if you look at the programs tab, these various programs are listed there.
Okay. So that's grbbank.com/mortgage.
Correct.
Okay. That's easy enough to remember.
I think so.
Yeah.
Rates. We haven't talked about rates.
Yeah. So, we're really lucky. I have a client that just purchased in November. Locked in November of 2018, locked in at 5%, which is a great rate historically, right? Is doing a current refinance that we just situated yesterday at 3.875%.
Oh, my.
And that's only
That's
a few
great.
months later. And so, what we've experienced is just a significant drop in mortgage rates in a very short period of time. And when these things occur, it's very unlikely that it'll be here for the long term. Typically, rates will start ticking up again. And so it's very important that if people are looking at doing this now, they can benefit from a much lower mortgage payment, which offers more affordability, perhaps a home that they would think twice about a few months back, but now is affordable due to the drop in rates, or it may make it so that they qualify for a larger purchase. Maybe they couldn't qualify for that $200,000 house in November. Well, now where rates are 1.25% lower, maybe they qualify, and that's easier for their family budget. So rates are at a great point right now. We're seeing the 30-year fixed right around 3.875. The 15-year fixed at around 3.375 for your best case scenario, and I encourage people to take advantage of those rates if they're thinking about purchasing.
It sort of has a double whammy, these rates, because we were talking about at the end of 2018 that we fully expected the Fed to raise rates, and
Couple hikes.
and everybody was talking about 5% by the end of 2019, maybe a little tick higher. And the rates have been held low, and that kind of is, hurting the market a little bit with regard to the inventory, because we have less inventory than we even had last year, and we still have a boatload of buyers out there, and part of that is fueled by these low rates. So it's creating a very, very competitive market. And I would, I guess my advice to any buyers out there is to just be patient, right?
Right.
And we'll all get through this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the number again, your number?
Yep, 585-472-9345.
Okay.
It's GRB 9345.
That's right.
Yeah.
How long is the usual application process? How long does that take? I know there's variables depending on the person's situation, but what can someone expect in a busy time of year?
So our current turn times, and this is due to the fact that our loan originators, our processing team, underwriters, closers, we're all in-house. We're all located under the same roof, which definitely makes the process a lot quicker. But our turnaround times right now are on average from application to clear to close. It's about 25 days.
Wow.
That's pretty fast,
Yeah,
actually.
pretty quick.
It is.
Based on my most recent experience, it was longer than that.
Yeah,
So,
we're known as a market leader for our efficiency with our closing timeframes.
That's great. That's great.
Fantastic. What were you guys expecting to share with us today that we haven't asked you about?
That's a great question. I mean, just to touch on a couple of the other programs that we offer, I think
Sure.
that some of the listeners would definitely like to know what programs we offer that some other banks do not as they're shopping. One program I definitely want to mention is for those medical professionals that may be listening. We offer extreme flexibility for medical professionals, whether you're already practicing, whether you're a resident. We have a full list that you can contact me to get as far as what that constitutes. But we offer very low down payment programs. Flexible PMI, which is an acronym for private mortgage insurance. And we look at student loan payments differently, which really is helpful for the average medical professional that tends to carry a decent amount of student loan debt. So that's one program I wanted to mention. We also do a lot of work with veterans. So we do have a veterans loan that is very good for people who have served or either are active military.
And is that different than the VA loan?
Standard VA loan.
Standard VA loan.
Yep, standard VA loan. But we do all
We
of that
will be
in-house.
offering, sorry to interrupt, we will be offering free appraisals for the month of July for VA loans.
That's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
That is
great.
awesome. Yeah.
And just so people understand what the value of that is, I mean, appraisals go for about how much today?
Typically about $400
Yeah.
for that type of loan.
So that's huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How does this work between you guys and the real estate broker? Is there any communication between the bank and someone like Carmen?
Of course, yes. So essentially every kind of stage of the process that the realtor would be notified as to where the customer stands. If there's anything needed from the customer, when the appraisal gets in, once we're cleared to close. Every stage the realtors are notified because it's very important to keep constant communication.
Yeah. It's interesting from a consumer perspective. It seems like there's nothing going on. You get a house under contract.
Right.
Your attorney approves the contract.
Right.
You do your inspections. Everything is fine, or there's a couple of screws that need to be tightened here and there. Right. You negotiate that with the seller. You go to the bank. You give them all these documents. They say, "Yep, looks good," and you're going to close in 45 days from now. And then you hear nothing. So it looks like there's nothing going on in the background, but there's lots and lots of activity. And usually what I tell my folks is during that time period, the fact that you're not hearing from anybody is good.
Right.
Yes.
No news is good news, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
Things are going smooth at that point.
And sometimes I hear horror stories of people show up at a closing and suddenly it's, oh, didn't you know you needed $10,000 more to make this happen? It seems like you guys really tighten that up and make sure your clients know and expect everything that's going to happen at closing, correct?
Yes. We have a great closing team. They do notify the customers ahead of time of how much money they need to bring to closing, where closing is. So they do a really good job making sure that the customers understand that final closing disclosure before they're at the table signing papers.
Just to kind of dovetail with that, one of the things that a lot of the referral partners that we work with, mostly realtors in the area, really love about what we do at GRB specifically is before someone writes an offer, they have a really firm grasp of exactly what they're looking at. I think that's very important because there are a lot of lenders that are out in the marketplace, both locally as well as nationally, that might be using different tax points for property taxes, that might be underestimating the taxes that are required, that may be issuing just one general estimate for buying a house at, let's say, $100,000, and the buyer ends up going with a $200,000 purchase. In the market that we're in, if their loan originator is not accessible as I am or as some of the other originators are at the bank, that can really create the scenario that you're referring to, where someone was expecting one thing and then they get to a closing or they get under contract and they haven't been briefed on any changes. So with the buyers reaching out to us and us being available and being able to tell them exactly what they're looking at before they go under contract, as sometimes in this market that might be a few weeks or a few months later, it really makes it so there are no surprises. And I found that we do something called a survey, a closing survey at the end of every loan that we close. So every single one that we close has a survey. We run a 4.9 and some change on a scale of 5 for the feedback. And they ask, the process, were the rates and fees explained clearly to you? Were you able to reach your processor whenever you had a question? Were you able to reach your originator? And then, of course, just the general overall process. Would you refer GRB? And I think the reason why those scores are so high is because people really have a good sense of what they're looking at, and they're not shocked, and they're adequately prepared for their purchase.
We're very transparent with the whole process.
Okay.
We're getting close to the end of this segment, so I want to just repeat a couple things.
Sure.
Somebody calls you and they mention that they saw and heard about the Home Dream program on our Carmen Sense podcast here today. What do they get?
So they're going to get a $500 reduction of their closing costs.
Okay, that's fantastic.
It's great.
That's awesome. I almost want to go out and buy a house now.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
But I can't.
I can't either.
All right. That takes it. Well, now's the perfect time for...
No, is it time already?
Yes,
is
it's
it?
time for...
Carmen Cooks.
Carmen Cooks.
Carmen Cooks. All right. Fantastic. So, this is the time of year where everybody goes out and gets some meat and throws it on their grill.
Grilling.
Right? And
Grilling season.
Sometimes people just have a hard time with making a perfect steak. It's actually kind of easy. And what I did just the other day is I went to my favorite grocer, and I got a couple of strip steaks that were about 1.25 inches thick, right?
Okay.
So a big chunk of meat, probably close to a pound each.
Nice.
And I took them out about an hour or so before grill time while I had my charcoal fire starting. And I on both sides, what I did is once they came to room temperature, salt, generous amount of salt, and freshly ground black pepper. And then I got some dried rosemary, put that on there.
Nice.
Just
Ooh.
sprinkle
I haven't
on there.
done that.
And then just kind of packed it in, right?
Okay.
Right? And just let it sit on the counter there for a little while. And then put it on the nice hot coals, nice hot grill, and it was just a perfect medium. And my dear friend Jim was with me, and he likes his medium rare, so his was perfectly medium rare.
You're killing me.
Pulled them off, right? Nice drizzle with some olive oil on top, right?
Ooh.
And that was just a fantastic steak. Yeah.
I'm starving.
So I would highly recommend, pull the meat out and let it come to room temperature and then season it.
That's key.
Unseason it. And
don't pull it right out of the fridge and right straight to the grill.
No.
Never.
And some people have pulled it right out of the freezer and put it on
that's
there, so it thaws and cooks at the same time. And let it sit, right? After you pull it off the fire, let it sit. Get those juices in there, right? So they stay in the meat. Fantastic.
Carmen Cooks with Carmen Lonardo of the Remax Realty Group. Let's say goodbye, but let's go through how to reach everybody again.
Yeah.
Could you do it?
Yeah, sure. So I like to be reached directly by my cell, which is 585-472-9345.
And Ash?
That's a great question.
Maybe she doesn't want to be reached. Maybe he's vetting everybody for her.
You don't have a phone number?
I do have a phone number. Unfortunately, I don't recall what my phone number is right now. I knew you were going to ask me.
We'll move on.
So Ashley's office line is 585-445-5624.
Thank you, Majuwa.
You
You're
got
welcome.
that?
You're
Majuwa,
welcome.
what's the website again, please?
The website is grbbank.com/mortgage, and you can search for me as an originator on that website of Majuwa Kuwai-Bell.
Okay, and Carmen?
Carmen at Remax Realty Group, and people can reach me on my cell, 233-4119. Call or text anytime. Get back to you right away.
And you can go to carmensense.com for more information, too. I'd like to thank Fitz here at Rock Vox. Man, you are the best. If you've got to do a podcast, this is the place. No doubt
What's
to
that?
go.
The other thing he was doing there, those legacy things.
He does legacy videos. I got to talk to him about that after this.
Yeah, that's,
So you can record your parents telling their life story, or in that, because I want to do that with my dad.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
fascinating story.
That's neat stuff to have for anybody.
So it's great. One more time again before we sign off, Carmen, how do they reach you?
233-4119. That's my cell phone. Call or text.
Okay, and I'm Boomer from The Right Creative. Thanks for joining us. The Carmen Sense Realty Podcast Show.
Common sense approach to real estate.